Welcome to Downtown Sports. My name is Downtown Stephen Brown, and in today's video, you guys know how optimistic I like being in these videos, especially to end them off. If you've been here for a while, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that in today's video. I didn't even touch anything either. It's just frustrating. Anyway, report, salary cap could remain at $81.5 million over the next 3 seasons with a slim chance of it increasing by $1 million in the third year of that projection. And I think that Totally Offside sums it up pretty well from a Leafs perspective, but this just isn't a problem for the Leafs. It's a problem for just about over half the teams in the league right now who are trying to be competitive. The cap is going to be flat/near flat for the Leafs' entire window to win, and they just finished handing out above market value deals based on the expectation of significant future cap growth. Cool. And if you're going to try to use this as a way to push your agenda that you were right all along, that the Maple Leafs could not afford to pay for forwards almost $40 million, I don't want to hear it right now. No one wants to hear it. It's a stupid opinion. It was wrong from the beginning. And the only reason why you're even close to right now is because there was a global pandemic and an economy crash. So if you want to be right for that reason, go ahead and brag about it in the comments section, I guess. If you didn't watch the previous 2 videos where I talked about defensemen that the Maple Leafs could either sign in unrestricted free agency or trade for, I flaunted an armchair GM very similar to this on what I think the team could possibly look like come opening night next season. And in this example where the salary cap is $84 million, which is what it would have been minus COVID-19. I know you could say because pandemic for a lot of things, but we're going to do it in this video for the sake of it because the Maple Leafs are really in trouble and I need to highlight why here. But you got $4.2 million in cap space, and I even gave raises to some of the players in Ilya Mikheyev and Travis Dermott. So my projections are even less conservative, and I still have a lot more money and a lot more room to work with. And if you were still so hell-bent on upgrading the Toronto Maple Leafs' defense this season, I mean, you could move out of Travis Dermott. You could take away his hypothetical $2 million salary, and then you'd have $6.2 million to work with to go out there and upgrade this defense. I mean, hell, if you were really even just so set on just wanting Alex Pietrangelo or bust, you could probably go out and remove Travis Dermott and Kerfoot from this lineup, and you got $9.7 million to work with. Does that sound like a realistic number enough to entice Pietrangelo to come home? I'm pretty sure it is. And that's not me saying that the Maple Leafs should get Alex Pietrangelo. That's just me highlighting how much cap space they would have had in this situation and how perfectly okay they would have been to upgrade the defense and still keep everyone and not be in a position where you might have to think about possibly making a trade now because of cap constrictions. And that was the whole point. That was the whole point to the narrative, is that everyone was saying that they need to drop one of those 4 forwards. They can't possibly afford to upgrade the defense any further or make this team any better with those 4 guys making that much amount of money. And we showed it here. We showed it here on this channel dozens and dozens of times with all different examples of different things that we could have done to make that happen. There wasn't just one solution to do it. It's not just trading Andreas Johnsson. There's a whole bunch of different routes that you can go to upgrade the defense and still be cap compliant and still have those 4 players. And it's not just about this season, right? For the next season, it would have been at $84 million, but let's say it went up by the same amount of money. Let's say it went up by another $2.5 million the season following. Now that's $86.5 million. And then by the time it got to 2022, 2023, which is when we could expect to see $1 million increase from 81.5 to 82.5, but maybe, they're not sure right now. If it went up by another $2.5 million, we could have conceivably been at $89 million instead of $82.5 million, or still at $81.5 million. And then in that time, you're going to have to re-sign Morgan Rielly, a goalie, whether that be Frederik Andersen or not, and Zach Hyman. And if you're looking at the difference there, $82.5 million to $89 million, does that, what is that, $6.5 million? Does that cover those raises? Maybe not, but you could still go out there and make other minor moves to this team and still be able to afford all those players while still keeping the 4 forwards making almost $40 million. And I'm not worried about next season. We've shown dozens of ways on this channel that the Maple Leafs could improve their defense next year, even under an $81.5 million salary cap. I'm worried about the season after that when they need to replace a goalie or Zach Hyman, or the season after that one when they need to re-sign guys like Kasperi Kapanen and Morgan Rielly and Rasmus Sandin even, and Travis Dermott is still going to be a question mark at that point because he's only going to be signing a bridge deal this offseason of maybe 1 or 2 years. So it's just like, what do you do then? Because all those players are going to be due raises, and it's just like the money's not there. So this is for the 21-22 season, and let's just throw a number to the wind for Zach Hyman here. $4.75 million for 4 years. I don't know. If you want a more detailed explanation, I did an entire video with an in-depth analysis of what I think Zach Hyman could get on his next contract. But maybe the goaltending situation here in Toronto switches up a bit, and they're looking for more of a tandem with Jack Campbell, someone that plays 50-50 of the playing time, or 60-40, 65-35, instead of a guy like Frederik Andersen who plays 60 games a season, or even 65 or 70 games a season, and then the backup goalie is playing like once or twice a month. And at that point, maybe you do get a guy making $3.5 or $4 million. So then you have a little bit more money to put towards your defenseman. Okay. So we can conceivably see how the Maple Leafs can navigate through the 2021 season, which is next year, and the 21-22 season under an $81.5 million salary cap. But let's move forward to the 22-23 season now with that Zach Hyman contract still. And I even gave them the extra $1 million there that we're probably not going to get anyway. Just to be nice, I gave it to them. So let's just throw a hypothetical number up there just in the wind for Morgan Rielly now at this point. $7.5 million for, let's just say, 6 or 7 years. If you're interested, any more detailed explanation into what I think Morgan Rielly could get on his next contract, I also made a video on him that I will link above the screen. Now we have $16.5 million to work with, and it's inexcusable at this point. It's so 100% clear you cannot afford to have Alexander Kerfoot making $3.5 million on the third line there. So now we have $20 million to spend, and we need 12 players at the minimum. And we still need new contracts for Sandin, Liljegren, Kapanen, Engvall, and Campbell. And I mean, that's 5 of your hypothetical 12 that you would need. So you need 7 guys. You need 7 more guys after signing them. And I'm not even going to try to project the contracts for those guys because that would just be absolutely crazy. But what I do know is that $20 million for those 5 guys plus another 7 is not enough. So 2 years from now in the 22-2023 season, or 3 years from now, however you want to look at it, because this season's basically over, the Maple Leafs are screwed. But maybe we shouldn't be worrying about it or looking into it too much, because that is 2 drafts from now. That is 2 years of prospect development. That is 2 years of unknown international free agent signings that they could make. That is 2 years of trades. That is 2 years. A lot can happen in 2 years. But right now, the path that they're on, they're going to be screwed. And it's frustrating because if the salary cap would have increased by the same amount that it would have from this year to next year, $81.5 to $84 million, so $2.5 million, if it would have just increased by $2.5 million for the 2 following years, it could have been at $89 million for this 2023 season. And that's just a conservative projection because you have the money from Seattle coming in, and the NHL still needs a new TV deal in the United States. It could have been higher than $90 million possibly, and that's another $6.5, $7, or $8 million to work with at this point. And yeah, that is 100% enough money to re-sign all those guys, 7 more guys, and even upgrade on top of that. And in the end, who gets blamed when this team ultimately doesn't succeed because they can't keep the band together, because they can't maintain that amazing forward depth? Because that's what this team is built on. The strength is that it has amazing forward depth, and they used to have a goalie that would bail them out of their defensive lapses at times, but this season, Frederik Andersen has really struggled, so they haven't had that as much. I think that that's fair to say. The defense was always going to be mediocre at best because they have one of the best forward groups in the entire NHL. Kyle Dubas is the one that's ultimately going to get the blame for this, and he's going to be fired. And a lot of people are going to be happy about it, but I know a lot of people that aren't going to be happy about it. I'm just going to be honest with you, I'm 60-40 with Dubas. I like 60% of the stuff that he's done. I don't like 40% of the stuff that he's done, but I think that 60-40 is a pretty good approval rating, so I would say that yes, I am a Kyle Dubas fan, or I like what he's done so far. I don't think that it's necessarily fair that he shares in the blame for this, because it's not like Dubas started the pandemic or he's the reason why the salary cap is staying flat. It's not him. It's not his fault at all. And I mean, we went through it. They're going to be okay for next season and the one after that one. And we don't know what's going to happen in this play-in round. Maybe the Maple Leafs win a Stanley Cup in the next 3 playoffs. I don't know. At that point, I think that most fans wouldn't really care what happened in 2022, 2023. I can tell you right now, I wouldn't either. But there's going to be people claiming that they were right regardless, that Kyle Dubas couldn't win too. I told you so. Because if you just take a look at what would have happened, what was going to happen, without the pandemic, the salary cap would have been $84 million. And I've shown under an $84 million salary cap how they could have afforded Alex friggin' Pietrangelo. Why is Nylander trending on Twitter right now? Okay, I'm blocked, but it's something stupid that Damian Cox said about him being traded to Buffalo for Rasmus Ristolainen and the 8th overall pick. That's hilariously bad. But I mean, for some people, information and context and numbers, it's too much for them, and they rather just run with their narrative that it's all Dubas' fault, regardless of how the next 3 playoffs turn out. And maybe I'm just repeating myself at this point, but we've shown hundreds of times how they're going to be fine for next season, how they can still upgrade the defense. And I've shown in this video how they're going to be fine for the season after that. But the season after that, the 22-23 season, is going to be absolutely horrible. And on the path that they're on right now, it's going to be absolutely horrible. So I'm not hitting the panic button now, and I'm not hitting it next season or the season after that. But 2022-2023 is going to be an absolute mess for this team. And it's not anyone's fault. It's just circumstance. And it's very, very sad to say, because under normal circumstances, the cap would have been over $90 million at that point. And it's just, I don't know. And I know normally I try to be optimistic and positive about the Leafs on the channel, and especially this season it's been exceptionally hard to do, but still managed to do it up until this point. But I'm also not going to lie to you guys, and I'm not going to try to shoehorn things in. It doesn't look good right now for them. Not immediately, but in the short term, it doesn't look that good. But if you liked the video, make sure to like it and subscribe for more, because more is always on the way. And remember that they could lose the play-in round and win the 1st overall pick, draft Alexis Lafreniere, and trade one of those 4 forwards, because they still have 4 elite forwards. Sound good, eh?